Ricky B here. It's Monday. We're downtown Ottawa at the South African Embassy.
Shoot to kill. You must kiss the poor, the farmer. Kiss the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa. Brr, pa, pa. Attention.
Let's just take a look at some of the political policy that's going on in South Africa right now, today.
I'm here to show the South African Embassy, the consulate, the government, that there are Canadians who deeply care about people, and there should be no discrimination on the basis of color of the skin. It's a terrible, terrible white genocide going on in South Africa. The government is complicit. The government of South Africa is making constitutional changes to expropriate land without compensation.
There's nothing that government can do that is illegal to the farmers. Neither there is nothing that the farmers can refuse, which is law. So they don't have much options. It is not the intention of the ANC to go and grab the land illegally and that type of thing. No, we will do it within the prescriptions of the laws of this particular country. And then if it means that the laws of this country are not adequate to address that, the first thing to do is to introduce the new laws that allows us to be able to. But once it's law, no farmer, no person that can come and say that I am going to disobey this law. No, do it at your own peril.
It violates human rights. There's been terrible tortures. Even little children have been tortured, made to watch their parents murdered and so forth. There's been over 4,000 South African white farmers have been brutally murdered. And Canadians do care.
Black people have been patient enough. We are of the view that we have to fight in order to attain freedom as the black majority in this country. And the fight has to be located in taking back the land and expropriate it back into the people, in seizing the means of production and expropriating everything, or rather redistributing everything equally. And a society that would embody a value system that puts black people first will have to be attained through confrontation, unfortunately, because our people have waited for so long. We've waited for so long and nothing is happening in terms of changing our lived experience. So it's very important to have a movement such as BLF who's going to say, we don't want your handovers. We don't want you to feel pity for us. We are coming for you and we are going to get everything that you own. It's ours.
So Michael, why'd you come out here today on this breezy winter Canadian morning?
I'm glad to support freedom and freedom for people in general, for freedom of speech, but proper freedom of speech, and support the fairness and racial equality for all people.
And with all these immigration problems that keep coming up with Justin's radical open borders policy, do you think they just have overlooked the South African farmers? Do you think they're intentionally ignoring?
Justin's government should never have been elected in the first place. The so-called leader should never have been elected leader of the party on a full-term basis. He should have been maybe elected as a interim PR guy to help the party get some. Not that I want the party's been, but it was such a bad shape that. They went with him because they knew he had an attraction and an opportunity to get elected, and somehow he managed, much to my surprise, to get elected. And not only that, to a, as I put it, I like to put it, and it's accurate, a majority by default. So he's elected to a majority by default in 2015, and he's not interested in furthering the betterment of Canada. And he's really, in my opinion, I'll put it that way, definitely out to ruin the country. Perfect. And he's bringing in all these immigrants and allowing just but to stay with the topic of immigration, the immigration that's been allowed from the U.S. is really, quite frankly, illegal, and it shouldn't have been allowed in any kind of fashion whatsoever, and certainly not anywhere the degree that it has been.
The Prime Minister, regrettably, wants to bring in 450,000 per year. This is absolutely absurd. The Canadian taxpayers, you the taxpayers, cannot afford this. We should be using that money for improving infrastructure in Canada, helping the homeless, helping the seniors, helping the veterans. Poor veterans have been kicked in the face. Trudeau, it's a shame that Trudeau was once a Christian and then he became a Muslim. If he wants to change his religion, that's one thing, but he shouldn't defile the office of the Prime Minister.
Or change the nature of the country, the culture of the country.
Well, yes, he wants to replace Canadians with third world people. And actually, statistics are showing that after 3 years of the immigrants being here, they're still collecting welfare. This is not right to the working Canadians and Canada. It's not right.
Is this simply buying votes? Because he knows that these third world migrants that he's bringing in legally or illegally, they're historically they're for big government, they're for socialist welfare states?
Yes, that's true. They take the attitude, don't bite the hand that feeds them. Well, they'll bite the hand that feeds them later, but they're coming here as economic leeches. The problem is that we need some immigration, but it should be vetted. We should be taking in true refugees, not people who are simply coming here to economically rape Canada and to use the taxpayers mercilessly.
Who was here and who was here 1,000 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago?
Yeah.
I do all kinds.
When you come into an area and you create society, you're
and we're all people.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But if you go over and you try and overwrite a society, that's invasion.
I think that the immigration program has many Canadians who are very deeply concerned with the illegal immigrants coming in. Hundreds a day, on average, maybe 500 per day, are coming through the Roxdam border from the States into Canada illegally, and Trudeau is wining and dining them in hotels, which they're trashing as they stay there. And Canada has a safe third country agreement that should be trashed. It's abused, and the people that really need to come in are the true refugees, people such as the South African people who are being murdered simply because of the color of their skin. This is so wrong. The Canadian government is doing really nothing other than giving. Trudeau gave $18 million in the past year to the government of South Africa. It's almost as if he's encouraging the discrimination, and the South African government is very corrupt.
So I don't know, the Europeans wound up here somehow, and they found, I mean, it's not publicized, but they found, apparently, I haven't seen it for myself,
Viking stuff too.
grave sites of Caucasians that maybe thousands of years old.
So now, Mark, let's talk about white people and what they have to deal with in North America.
Well, there's many that are being passed over for jobs. Trudeau is bringing in many immigrants. Well, they're really economic migrants, that's all. And while they're bleeding the taxpayers dry, they're also taking jobs away from people who are born here. Immigration should complement Canada, not rape us.
When they're talking about colonialism, it's like, it's the same thing here. Pay for what happened 200 years ago.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So what would you say to these extreme alt-left, Antifa, social justice warrior people that are saying that that you're simply using this myth of white genocide in South Africa as a tool of white supremacy?
Oh, it's absolute utter nonsense. Antifa is promoted and encouraged by the Communist Party of Canada. They put on the websites the Communist Party of Canada have been trying to get people to come out to protest this. And this is a very peaceful protest. This is to show the embassy and the people of South Africa that the lives that have been lost, the terrible lives and the tragic lives that have been lost in the persecution is not in vain. We do care. The National Citizens Alliance is the only federal political party that is taking a stand against discrimination, against racism. Our party policy is no racism. It's a terrible shame that South Africans are being murdered. The whites and the blacks are being murdered, but particularly there's targeted the white South Africans. The NCA is firmly against any discrimination.
Michael, anything last you want to say?
Fairness for white people in South Africa. It's BS. Stealing their land, the land that farmers out there have worked for hundreds of years, and they acquired fairly, at least for the most part. And if they want to confiscate the farmers' lands, those farmers' lands, at least they should give them a fair price for it. You know, at the very least that. But I mean, quite frankly, we were all helping. We got rid of apartheid against blacks years ago, and now there's apartheid against whites, and it's disgraceful.
So with all this anti-colonialism, anti-Western sentiment, let me ask you one final question. Is it okay to be white?
Yes.
Perfect. Is it okay to be white?
It's okay to be white.
Is it okay to be white?
Absolutely, any color that you want.
So Mark, for all those people that couldn't come out here today, what would you want to say to the Canadian people?
I hope that my Canadian brothers and sisters will write to their members of Parliament, let them know that discrimination is wrong, racism is wrong, land expropriation without compensation is wrong. The South African government needs to know that Canadians care, and we at the National Citizens Alliance are the only political party that can truly say, we care for you.